Hey, what's up y'all? Welcome back to my channel. If you're new to my channel, please consider subscribing for weekly automotive mechanical content for the average shade tree mechanic. Alright y'all, so a video that I'm about to do is actually the review on the leveling kit that I installed recently. If you haven't checked out my how to install that leveling kit, again I have the 2-inch Thuren leveling coil kit with the Overland shocks up in the front. If you haven't checked that out yet, I'll go ahead and post a link on the top right. Make sure you watch that, very interesting. Get into some specifics, but in this video specifically I want to talk about the review of the leveling kit. Now I have in my notes I actually installed it on the 12th of November at 11,500 miles. So now I have about 19,000 miles, and you can do the math with how long I've really had the kit on. So I have some notes, things that I've been noticing about the leveling kit up in the front specifically. Haven't done anything yet to the rear suspension, but I do want to put a new sway bar or track bar to help that out. Possibly their rear coil kit that lifts it maybe around an inch. And then some new shocks, because right now I just have KYB shocks. Anything is an upgrade compared to the factory shocks on these trucks. And then I may be looking into some airbags due to the fact that if I do put that rear coil kit, it will sag. Say if you put like 300, 500 pounds, definitely like 700 pounds in a crazy amount. And so you're really taking away from the capability of a heavy duty truck by touching your rear coils, but that's what the airbags will supplement the softer coils for. So that's my plan for the rear suspension. So let me get into the actual review of the leveling kit. Now I've been failing to do this for quite some time. I do get some other things in the mail. I get excited, I want to install that, I want to go through that video. And for y'all that don't know, installing a part or whatnot, multiply that by 2, and that's how long it really takes to actually film. And then take that amount of time, multiply that by 2, and that's how really long it takes to actually push out a video with the editing and getting it live on YouTube. So it does take a lot of time, but today my priority is actually pushing out this video about the leveling coil kit. If you haven't seen my video on the alignment that I recently had done, I'll go ahead and post that in the top right. That has some good info, but what I'm trying to get at is the measurements. So let me go ahead and touch measurements after that third alignment that I've had to help you understand how much it really lifts the front end. Alright, so after the alignment, the front driver is 43.375, front passenger is 43 inches flat, rear driver is 43.625, and rear passenger is actually 43.625. Actual rake, driver side is 1/4 of an inch, passenger is going to be 0.625. Alright, so for a 2-inch leveling kit, it bumped it up quite some bit, and it's almost dead level. There's still a little bit of a rake that you could obviously see. So between 1/4 of an inch and a little above 1/2 an inch is what you're looking at. I think if you actually go with the 2.75, it might be dead on, or based off of my measurements, it'll be slightly higher than the rear of the truck. Now even if it's dead level, it may still look like the truck is got that Carolina squat. I think it's the Cali lean and Carolina squat. It may look like that. So one thing to keep in mind, but one thing I do wanted to mention is that in the future I'm going to get a front bumper to replace the chrome one. So say if that's 150 pounds, how much the front coils are going to squat a little bit more. I think with just that weight it should maybe go down maybe 1/8 of an inch, no more than 1/4 of an inch. So I'm not too worried about that. So I think 2 inches, the 2-inch leveling coil kit was the kit for me. Alright, so let's get back on track. So the majority of the difference that I noticed with the leveling kit is a much softer ride in the front. There's no way I'm going back to stock suspension after riding with these coils and the shocks. Now the shocks are bottom line based off of what Thuren sells. I can throw on, you know, like $300 shocks to help supplement the coils, and I'm sure it'll drive a whole lot better, softer, especially on the road, but more so off-road. But since I don't do a lot of driving off-road, those shocks are really not for me. So the overlands are really all I really need if I stay on the pavement. So yes, a definite softer ride, and when I mentioned that, it's that, you know, it handles the soft bumps much better. It handles the speed bumps a whole lot better. It will jar you if you have stock suspension. You go over a speed bump, like you want to go like 1 or 2 miles per hour due to the fact that, I mean, you go over that speed bump, the truck just shakes, it just fights it. It's just so stiff. All right, maybe that has to do with, you know, a low mileage truck, but I can't see the coils breaking in that much further from factory. Like I said, it's a definite softer ride, but what that does is highlight the rear suspension. All right, so if you handle a bump soft, you're definitely going to feel the difference in the rear, and that's where it kind of kicks out a little bit sometimes. Like, you know exactly what I'm talking about. The only way I can really explain that is really, I don't know, shaking the chair. But yeah, you definitely feel the harshness of the rear suspension, so that may be a con, that the front is definitely handling bumps a whole lot better, but it highlights the rear suspension. So that's one thing to keep in mind. If your plan is to upgrade the rear suspension, you shouldn't have anything to worry about. But if you don't, and if you use your truck for, you know, a fifth wheel, you tow heavy, and it squats a little bit, and you want those factory coils to actually hold the amount of weight that it was meant to tow, then that's one thing to keep in mind. Now, better shocks are probably what's going to help you, or if you're like me, you want to have the capability of a heavy-duty truck still, is installing the recoil kit and then supplement that with airbags. And so once it squats to a certain amount, you throw in some PSI into those airbags, and then boom, you're back to, you know, square one. I've noticed a reduced amount of vibration too within the front. I think with the harshness of the front suspension and these coils, you feel really everything in the road, especially if you drive over those small reflecting circles on the highway. Like, you just feel them a whole lot more. The leveling kit helps with that, as well as, you know, different tires, bigger sidewall. Say if you go 35s on 18s, it helps with bumps too. All right, so next, I touched on it a little bit, 2 inches compared to 2.75. The thing is, why I went 2 is because I wanted just a very little rake, especially if I throw something in the back of the truck, because I'm not sure when I want to throw in rear coils, or, you know, swap out the suspension in the rear. So for the time being, if I did have to throw in maybe 1,000 pounds of payload of sand, or say I brought some tree stumps from my buddy, he cut up some pine, threw it in the back of the truck, it's probably like 1,200, 1,500 pounds that I threw in the back of the bed. You know, if I would have upgraded the rear suspension, thing would have been like dragging on the ground pretty much. You know, like 1,500 pounds in a Ram 1500 would significantly lean. And the reason why I'm comparing Ram 1500 is, like, really, if you upgrade rear coils, it kind of matches, say, the half-ton truck suspension. That's one reason why I wanted to go to 2 instead of 275. And like I mentioned before, if you go 275, it may be slightly higher in the front compared to the rear. And so if it's already like that, and then I actually put some load into the bed of the truck, then now I'm really fitting in the crowd here in Carolina with that squat. One thing I wanted to mention is the boots that I ordered for the shocks, and this was I think it was a good call. So if you do go this route, make sure you buy the boots, or buy some universal boots to actually cover the top of the shock. What this does is just keeps the shock from really getting all the dirt, the mud, the dust that really more so is attracted from that shock based off of the compression. It really helps maintain or sustain the life of that shock by getting that boot and covering it. So that's all I really have on the leveling coil kit. You cannot go wrong. I'm very happy I did this to the truck at a very young age. You know, it was really like only like 4 or 5 months old. after the time that I bought it from the dealership. So I definitely think I made a good move by upgrading the front suspension, and it looks a whole lot better. Yeah guys, that's pretty much it. No doubts about it. You will not be disappointed if you ended up going with the Thuren leveling kit, whether that's the 2, the 1, or the 2.75. All right, so if y'all have any additional questions or comments, go ahead and let me know below. Please like the video if this helped you out. Additionally, before you go and check out another video, I'll go ahead and post up on the top right of the video my last upload so that you can check it out. So until next time, ciao.
Perfect. Perfect.